Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. My dear friends, students of the first year, Cairo Higher Institute's English Division, it's my pleasure to welcome you to another drama lecture. Today, inshallah, we are going to achieve one of the main targets of studying drama. And let me start with raising the following question. Can you tell me how you can read a play? Can you tell me how do you understand a dramatic composition or a dramatic text? And please be patient to answer another question. Have you tried analyzing a play? So today, inshallah, we are going to try to understand how can we read a play, how can we analyze a play. Today, we have the target we worked for about 7 weeks. We started with understanding the definition of drama, the function of drama, the elements of drama, the subgenres of drama, what are the famous terminology used while studying drama, and the moment has come. The moment of understanding how to analyze a play. And that's why our title here is, how can you analyze a play? How can you analyze a play? The verb analyze is very important to understand before using it. What is the meaning of analyze as a verb? What is the meaning of analysis as a noun that indicates steps to be followed? So let me start with defining textual analysis. Textual, it comes from text. The play you read is a text. And analysis is the word we are going, or the term we are going to discuss today. So textual analysis means studying, or in particular, examining. In short, no. In brief, no. But in detail. How effectively the dramatist has used certain elements and devices of drama in the composition of his play. What does it mean? The dramatist used a number of elements while writing his play. Our role is to understand the elements he used, to understand whether the elements are effective or not. In other words, did the dramatist effectively use the elements to compose his play? This very simple question needs hard work to prove, hard work to work on. So we are going to examine in some detail whether the dramatist used his elements while composing a play. We can use elements and devices as two terms which reflect, which show a number of terms we are going to see in a while. Analysis should cover the form and the content. Again, analysis should cover the form and the content. By the content we mean the theme and the subject matter. And you came across the definition of the theme, and we will have it today once again, and so is subject matter. And the form it comprises the plot, characterization, and technique, and we had understood the three terms. That's why we started with the definitions before going in detail to show how can you analyze a play. Before analyzing a play, I need to understand first, how can I read it? I have a text. Shall I read the text as a newspaper article? Shall I read the text as a book of science? Or I have to follow a number of techniques while reading my play? It's my play. The play I'll study. The play I'll understand. The play I'm going to analyze to tell you as my reader whether the dramatist was effective or not while using his devices and elements. So first, the play should be read for the first time as a whole, so as to enjoy the story and grasp its overview. If you have a play, the play is subdivided into a number of acts, and each act is subdivided into a number of scenes. There is no problem. I need to read it as a whole. I'll not stop. Or in particular, I'll not get worried about anything regarding reading. When I start reading the play, I'll know some piece of information about the characters, the relationships, the setting, which means the time, place, and general atmosphere. I'll try to have just an overview. Who loves whom and what happens? Who hit whom and what happens? So, just to have an overview, a general idea about the play. Then, shall we read the play once again? Yes, it's a must. Believe me. You need to read it not only once, but at least twice. 2 times. Second, the play should be read again with the aim of finding out the meaning of recurrent words, keywords, and unfamiliar words. After my first reading, I had a general overview of what happens. But now, there are certain words which I need to understand, but I don't know their meanings. I need to have the chance to look every term or every word up. I'll search about its meaning in a dictionary. And notes must be taken. I have a piece of paper and I have a pen. And I write about the relationships among the characters. Who is the husband? Who is the wife? What about the relationships among this couple and the other outsiders? And what about the relationship even between the two partners? Do they love each other? Do they hate each other? Or do they enjoy a comfortable standard of living or not? Do they belong to the lower, middle, or upper class citizens? So I need to take notes to help me understanding the play and to analyze it later on. So notes should be written on themes, plot, characterization, and technique, the technical devices. And please, should be written, not just noticed, not memorized, because once you have lots of details, you will forget. So please write down any note you are going to understand. Because later on, each point will be discussed. Each point of discussion should be written properly and revised regularly. Now I have taken a note that the husband and the wife have a kind of tension, a kind of conflict. Their life is not a life of comfort, a life of stability. They do not enjoy loving each other. Okay. Later on, I must revise this piece of information. Maybe they will end as true lovers once again. Maybe the end will bring something different. So, as long as I'm reading the play, I'm taking notes. And as long as I'm reading the play, I revise my notes, either to prove that what I have written is correct or to correct something I didn't understand at the early beginning. Okay? So you have the first reading, the second reading, and the third reading. And please be patient, because regularly means every now and then, on certain durations of time. After reading the play, you need to understand some information about the fictional world of the play, the world represented in the play. In other words, you need to understand the time, the place, and the general atmosphere of the action, because it frames the whole fictional world. And when we started talking about the terminology of drama, we spoke about setting. For example, if I have a play that was written in the 17th century England, okay, what is the importance of giving you this piece of information regarding time? Because you are going to read a historical background of the age. What was the political, social, and economic conditions at that time? Not nowadays, not today. So you need to have, you must have to understand the meaning of setting. Okay? And the general atmosphere. Do we have love, jealousy, hatred? Do we have tricks? Do we have innocence or experience? Are we talking about a life of a family or a life of a group of street goers? The general atmosphere is very important because it tells you about the qualities of the characters, their tendencies, and the relationships among them. When you read the play, you will discover that you will have some words, some pictures the dramatist uses to describe ideas or situations. Like, for instance, if I find the dramatist writing that a husband describes his wife as a singing bird. When you read singing bird, a singing bird, what do you understand? That he loves her. For him, she is a source of joy. For him, she is a source of happiness. And that they enjoy loving each other. Otherwise, he wouldn't have described here so. So this image tells you that there is love. There is true love. Okay. On another occasion, okay, the husband can use this image as an irony, and we are going to have an idea about irony. The wife has a very bad voice, and he criticizes his wife's voice, but he is helpless. He must describe his wife as his singing bird. But of course, he doesn't mean that she has a voice that is as beautiful as that of a bird. He means the opposite, the contrary. So be careful. Of course, when the dramatist communicates his ideas, he uses language. So, as a matter of fact, we need to understand his language so as to be able to judge, does he succeed in communicating his ideas or does he fail? Does the dramatist give the reader a message and that the message is delivered or not? And the first step towards analyzing a language or understanding the language the dramatist uses can be, simply speaking, to answer one question, one simple question. Is the play written in prose or verse? Of course, verse means poetry, and prose means everyday talk, everyday language. So, when I have a play whose main character is a businessman who belonged to a middle-class family, will you expect this protagonist, this main character, this hero, to talk in verse? I think it's difficult. He must talk in prose. And if you have an aristocratic character who spent all his life studying music and arts, if you have this character, will you expect this character talking to you in prose? I think once again it is difficult. So the use of prose and verse can tell you how the character is elevated or how the character is normal. The language he uses gives you an idea about his background, his educational background, his social background, and so on. So please be careful that the first step to understand the language is to decide or to notice or to answer yourself regarding prose and verse as two mediums of communication the dramatist used to represent his language. The dramatist writes, but this writing doesn't follow a stereotypical pattern of description. In other words, sometimes you will have a speech. Hamlet on the stage, and he is giving a speech. He speaks to someone. He speaks to himself. Do you remember the soliloquy? It's a kind of speech. Sometimes I have a gesture or a body sign, okay? Like when I have a scene and I have a character, a gentleman who welcomes a gentle lady. Okay? What this gentleman is going to give as a sign of respect to this woman, okay, he may take his hat and put it again as a matter of showing respect. At the same time, I can have the body language. Through my body language, you will understand, am I nervous or cool? Okay? The language shows the social and educational background of the character, as I have just told you, and this is very important because it paves the way for you to understand the different dimensions of the character. The language can be rough, coarse action, coarse language, or highly elevated, one of high standard. If I am a little baby, or let me say, sorry, a little kid, and I'd like to ask my father to give me money, shall I go to my father and say, I want some money? Or, would you kindly please give me some money? The language gives you an idea about the difference between the first speaker and the second speaker. The first speaker belongs to a rough family, a poor family, a family that didn't educate him. But in my second instance, or the second speaker, I have a kid who is born into a good family that teaches him, that gives him that chance to develop his communication skills. At the same time, you need to analyze diction, and be careful of this term. What is the meaning of diction? It is the dramatist's special use and selection of words. In other words, it is the choice of words. Why did the dramatist use this term, not that one? What is the significance of using this specific word? And sometimes you will find a word or a phrase that is repeated. This repetition is not for nonsense. This repetition tells you something about the dramatist, either his political tendency, his social life, or some piece of information regarding his way of thinking. So please be careful of the dramatist selection or choice of words. At the same time, the language reflects the character's emotions and intellectual status. If I'm all the time nervous, all the time struggling with someone or having a conflict with another one, in this case, do I have emotional stability? Shall I have a kind of relaxation? Shall I enjoy a kind of normal mood? Or all the time nervous, all the time anxious, all the time speaking very fast so as to allow you to understand what I'm going to say? Or on the contrary, there is a kind of rationalism. I have a rational mind, a reasonable mind, who is trying to address you so as you can understand what is said. Okay? So the way the character uses his language tells you how the dramatist has portrayed this character. Another element you need to analyze in any play is the theme. And for all of you, this term is not new. We have discussed it before. But for those who didn't attend or for those who haven't watched the previous videos, the theme is the main idea of the play. It can be identified through, it can be recognized, it can be noticed through the dialogues and the actions of the main characters. Okay, I have a husband who has a conflict with his wife, so there is tension. Or there is hatred. Okay, I have a husband who expresses how his wife is beautiful. Till now I have love. And later on we come to know that this husband has a relationship with another woman. So we are going to understand that this is not true love. This is superficial love. He doesn't love her. Okay? So love, hatred, and jealousy, for example, can be themes. Love, hatred, search for identity, seeking power, resistance, war, revenge, all these are examples of themes dramatized in drama. What is the importance of understanding the theme so as we can analyze it? Simply speaking, it carries the dramatist's message to the audience. It is important to understand that the play should have more than one theme. What is the relationship between the first sentence and the second one? The first one tells you that the theme gives the dramatist's message to you as a reader, to you as a student who studies drama. At the same time, don't focus on just one theme, because a play may have more than one theme. The husband and the wife have tension. There is conflict. They hate each other. Okay. The husband tries to get acquainted with another woman, and the wife tries to stand in between. Why? Because she is jealous. So again, we have jealousy. And as the actions of the play proceed, as the actions of the play go on, you will understand, or in particular, you will discover that the husband had got married to his wife for money. She has money. He doesn't love her, but he got married to her for money. In this case, there is a theme of greed or materialism. So, the dramatist doesn't tell you this. This is what you can notice while understanding and analyzing a play. The subject matter is the topic of discussion. It can be deducted. It can be guessed. You can guess it. You can expect it from the title of the play. Okay, when, for example, I say Hamlet, do you expect a play about another character? When I say King Lear, will you find anything that is not related to the fictional world of Lear Shakespeare dramatizes? So, the title gives you an idea. When, for example, I say The Way of the Wallet, what does it mean? It means that this is the way of the wallet. This is how the wallet deals with persons, themes, and other elements. If I'm going to commit a mistake and you are going to blame me, I'll tell you, no, I'm not to be blamed. This is the way of the wallet. So I'll be a representative of a group of people or a class recognized for specific tendencies, for specific actions and reactions. In this case, I'll not be blamed because this is the way of the world. Whereas the theme is central, is the central idea, the subject matter is the object of discussion. Again, it is the topic of discussion. And please make clear the difference between the subject matter and the theme. I think we talked a lot about characters, the definition of the character, the different types of characters. But when you start analyzing a character, you need to get this term as a term that you understand very well. Characterization. And it means the dramatist's imaginative creation of characters. How the dramatist portrays his characters. How the dramatist draws his characters. Each character has a number of qualities. What are these qualities? And how the dramatist make use of each quality. So, characterization means the dramatist's imaginative creation of characters. What the meaning of characters? Simply speaking, persons in drama that can effectively represent a story. I need the character who represents a story. A character suitable for the representation of a story, the dramatization of a story. It refers to characterization, the qualities which color the characters. Morals, by morals means ethics, his, his values. Physical features, how he or she looks in terms of appearance, the kind of clothing that is used, the facial expressions, the hairstyle, and so on. And we have natural tendency. Is this person all the time hot, all the time nervous, all the time getting angry, or it is very difficult to make him angry? So all these aspects, or let me say dimensions of characters, must be taken into consideration while talking about this character, especially when you talk about effectiveness. Effectiveness. How can you raise the jealousy of a woman very quickly, and all the time you describe this woman as cool? I think it will be difficult. A cool woman cannot be easily moved. So don't portray a wife or a woman as cool all the time, and all of a sudden you shed light on her jealousy. Okay? There must be reason, there must be logic in portraying the characters. These qualities have developing the plot of the play. Some examples of these qualities are maturity. Maturity means to have a rational mind, a grown-up mind, to have a balanced mind. And its opposite is immaturity. So, I'm supposed to take a certain action, but unfortunately, I take another one because there is no reason. Innocence. I am as innocent as a newly born child. Criminality, knowledge, and ignorance. All these are number of qualities given to characters. How can you evaluate a character? This evaluation is based on information as stated in the stage direction. Okay, when you have a description of a woman with a hat, a long leather boot, and a very expensive bag on her arm. What can you understand about this woman? Is she poor? Of course not. Doesn't she take care of her appearance? No, she takes care of her appearance. Is she a lady or a flower seller on the corner of the street? Of course she is a lady. So, the pieces of information you gather help you understanding or in particular evaluating your character. At the same time, physical description, age, tendency, mood of dressing, and comments on her or on his or her interactions with others can tell you more. What is the meaning of physical description? Is the person tall or short? Thin or fat? The way the dramatist uses words to give you a visual description of his character. How can you see this fictional character? His age. Is he old? Is he young? Tendency. Is he showing kindness? Is he kind by nature or is he cruel? Is this person religious or not? Is this person balanced or reasonable or rational or not? Is this lady blames all people around here for nonsense? And if so, why? What is the reason? Is this person moody? Is this person generous? And so on. So I have this general tendency which can describe. Like, simply speaking, you can simplify it into, is this person good or evil? And of course, between goodness and evil, we have long varieties and very wide varieties of tendencies. The mood of dressing. Is this person dressed in a classical style of dressing or a casual one? And so on. Comments. Sometimes you come to understand the character through the other character's comments on him or on her. They talk about him. They talk about her. From their talks, you will understand the character. Interactions means dealings with. How the character deals with all the other surrounding characters. Does the character behave in a good way while talking to the other characters or not? And again, we need to understand, is this character round or flat? Do you remember when we talked about round and flat characters? When we started defining characters? A round character is a character who develops. He ends in a way that is different from the way he started. But the flat character, he doesn't change. He doesn't develop. He ends the play in the same way he started with. Another element you need to understand is symbolism. And what the dramatist use in his drama is what we call symbols. So what is symbolism? Symbolism is, first of all, an artistic device. So it is an artistic device. It is a device that belongs to arts. That enables, that gives chance to the dramatist to use factual language to represent something not directly stated. Not directly stated. He could use a symbolic title, a symbolic action, a symbolic object, or a symbolic character to represent a quality, an idea, or a person. I am a poor kid who was born into a poor family, and all the time I have a piece of drawing which I hold tightly. I have this piece of drawing. When you have a look at it, you will find that it is a portrait of a cage, and in the middle of the cage there is a bird, and the cage is completely closed. What does it mean? It means that you are not enjoying freedom. You are imprisoned. You live in a prison. You are like a bird. But the bird who is supposed to fly cannot fly. Why? Because there is no door to use to run and fly once again. It means that this bird is not feeling happiness. He is all the time sad. He is all the time suffering. He is all the time feeling depressed. Because liberty, not just freedom, which God gave him, is denied him. He doesn't enjoy his freedom. He doesn't enjoy his liberty. And so do I. So that's why I hold this piece of drawing tightly. So here, the cage becomes a symbol for my life, or my sense of life as a prison, and that I am imprisoned in it. Okay? This is the term I used at the early beginning of the lecture when I told that sometimes you have a speech, you have a few words, you have a phrase, you have something that is said, which signifies a kind of difference. What is said is not as what is meant. In other words, what is said is something and what is meant is something else. Do you remember the example of the husband who spoke about his wife's beautiful voice, and he compared her voice to the voice of a bird? If the husband doesn't mean his true love, he is ironical. He tells you in an indirect way that his wife's voice is extremely bad. He dislikes her voice, but he cannot say so directly. So he pretends praising her, but in reality, he doesn't like her voice. So again, what is different? What is said is different from what is meant. In other words, there is difference between appearance and reality. Like when I meet you and I give you an assignment. In the following lecture, you do nothing. I ask you, have you prepared your assignment? No one replies. Have you prepared your assignment? You give me a no reply. That's why I tell you, I love you too much. In this case, it is not the love you understand. Of course, I mean the opposite. So what is said, what is spoken, is completely different from what I mean, from what is meant. And I think you were all eager to hear. Thank you. I think that now you are relaxed. Now you are enjoying a kind of happiness because our lecture has come to an end. But before ending my lecture, I just give you a piece of advice. Please watch this video once again with more concentration and try to get some pieces of information about how to analyze a play. And by the way, this is the first video of teaching you how to analyze a play, because you are a student who is specialized in literature, in particular in English literature. So, if you are going to read a play, a novel, or a poem like every man, then you will never feel your specialty. Your taste as a student who gained knowledge, did efforts, and achieved a kind of success in his study while addressing drama. For the time being, I thank you for today. I hope you enjoyed our lecture and see you next time. Goodbye.